If you're thinking about unschooling, I want you to have a practical strategy that can actually help. Yes, unschooling focuses on connection and relationships and play and exploring interests. I can feel everybody nodding along with that. But then what? Like, how? That's what I've been helping families figure out since the 90s. So let me give you a little history and then show you what your next steps can be. I didn't come to unschooling for philosophical reasons. We just stepped away from school because, frankly, I thought I could do a better job than what they were doing. I could help my kids love learning again. I could show them things in the world that otherwise they would have just had to read about. I'd give them space to be curious and creative and not told that they had to set that all aside and learn the things that everyone their age needs to learn. That just didn't feel logical to me. I didn't step into this, though, with any big plan. I thought I'd just weigh it out. And then when it came to a point that it would be better to have the kids in school than learn through life at home, we'd pivot and put them back in school. But that never happened. We liked our lives. The kids continued to grow and learn and be more curious and more creative. So we just kept going. Along the way, the internet grew, and I bumped into more and more people. I saw what was working and what wasn't working for other people. We were in the military, so we moved a few times. So this gave me opportunities to tap into different communities and see how families were homeschooling and unschooling there. I started helping people get started on this path. School wasn't working for them either. People asked questions, and I answered with what I knew. I think it might have been that first wave of suburban moms choosing to walk away from the neighborhood schools. So if this is you, I know what you're going through. And over time, I've created an unschooling 101 kind of strategy to get you onto steady ground as quickly as possible. And here's why I want you to move quickly on this. You're probably surrounded by people who want you to get back in line. Either put the kids back in school or at least get some decent curriculum so you can be confident that they're learning something. And that's the constant push, right? This steady drip. Or maybe it's like the wave pool, but it's constantly working on you. So the sooner you have this information, the less impactful that will be. That drip will roll off because you've already thought it through. It won't blindside you when it catches you on a bad day. I've seen it happen, and I don't want it to happen to you too. I want you to be successful at this. We're all unsure in the beginning. It's like learning to ride a bike, though, and stepping away from the school approach is kind of like taking off the training wheels. You're wobbly at first, but those training wheels slow you down, and after a while, you don't need them at all. And without them, you can ride faster and more smoothly, and you can feel the wind blowing in your face. It's what freedom feels like. I've created an actual unschooling 101 approach to help you get past the wobbles as quickly as possible. You don't need to run back to those training wheels. This mini course that I've created started as a 10-day challenge in my membership group. It has short videos, even shorter than these 10-minute pep talks. It's enough to give you something to go on and not overwhelm you. A couple of minutes of chatting and then some action steps. It starts with an unschooling explanation and how it's really all about the individualization. This is why that general one-size-fits-all curriculum approach never really fit anyone. I've created a supply list for you too, an unschooling supply list, so you can get your home ready for this unschooling lifestyle. But if you're still feeling a little overwhelmed, I have something specifically for you. All those fears, they're coming at you. They crowd out the successes, the things that are going right. They don't even let you see them. As soon as you notice something good, does some voice in your head immediately rush in and remind you of any or all of the shortcomings? These fears and negative talks squeeze out the good stuff, keeping us in this permanent state of stress. We need to get that voice under control. I have some suggestions to stop the swirling doubts. I've used them with lots of parents, so I know it'll help you too. Maybe it would help to give you practical steps for setting up your home for unschooling. We're going to focus on the feelings and the functions that you want in your home, because that's all part of this individualization process. It has to fit your family's interests and preferences. I have an entire workbook just for setting up your home. We all want homes where kids can gather what they need to go off on their next adventure, or that soft place to land where they can recharge their batteries. It's not like a home where the kids are gone all day to school. It's a different way to live. And I have practical suggestions to help you shift your perspective. You can't tackle unschooling without doing what I call the internal work. I used to say that kind of casually, and parents would come back asking, "What do you mean?" I think they thought unschooling was just about the kids and their education. And while that is the initial focus for most families, you're going to have obstacles to overcome that you don't even realize are there. You'll know soon enough, though. You'll be puttering along, and suddenly one of these obstacles will jump up from behind the corner. How you react is going to depend on whether you were prepared for it. And while we all have a variety of fears and worries, there are some that are common with most of us. Things I've seen over and over again. We'll start with those. Sometimes our fears come from other people, comments or judgments that they make. And sometimes we've internalized some of their concerns ourselves. We just have to pull these out into the light and look at them. We have some pretty strong people-pleasing traits, right? So that's why it's important for us to tackle our own why. Why are you choosing to do this? What are your reasons for why you walked away from the traditional, conventional approach to learning? And so I have some workbooks in there to walk you through that, as well as a workbook to help you tackle those fears, or at least identify which ones are screaming at you the loudest right now. It's not enough to just listen to a podcast and let the words wash over you. It helps, but it's only going to scratch the surface. You're going to need to dive a little deeper into these internal conversations that you're having if you want to tackle them once and for all. Luckily, I've made it really easy for you to start to examine it. We're also going to look at your own school experiences, what you liked, what you didn't like, and you'd be surprised how that will creep into your expectations for your kids. And we'll talk some more about deschooling. A lot of parents think deschooling is something the kids need to do, some kind of a reset time where they can transition from the school environment to the home environment for learning. And they do, but not nearly as much as we, the parents, need to deschool. Usually, ours doesn't have as much to do with anything that recently happened with the kids. It has to do with the conditioning that we went through from years and years of being told there's only one right way to learn and everyone else is wrong, or an entire collection of ideas that we were told year after year. It'll be your hardest thing to unpack, probably. Most of us went to at least 12 years of traditional school and on to a few more years of college, and that's a lot to dismantle. And sure, some of it was good, and some we may even want to do with our own kids. But we need to look at those underlying motivations and the consequences that you may not have even considered. That's all part of deschooling. I'm going to walk you through how unschoolers learn what they need to know, how you're going to find those subjects weaving through the kids' activities. It's all in there, but you may need a little help seeing it. It gets easier over time. It's kind of like cleaning off a lens. Still, different ages bring in new concerns, and that's why it helps to keep learning about how unschooling works from families like mine who've done it. And then in the last section of the course, I'm going to help you build your own unschooling curriculum. There are components to include, and what you do will depend on your kids, your situation, and all the things that make y'all unique. So that's my strategy for helping you get onto solid ground as far as unschooling goes. This course is included in the membership group, but if you'd like to hop onto it now, it would be a great way to save you a lot of second guessing down the road. Right now, the regular price is $39, but in January, I want to help anybody that's interested in unschooling have access to it. I don't want money to be an issue. So let's make it under $20, just $19 through the end of this month. So if you're trying to figure out a strategy to start learning a different way, to understand a little more about how unschooling could work in your home, I want you to grab this. All right. Remember that the unschoolingmomtomom.com website has all kinds of unschooling resources to help you on your path. I just want you to be successful. So have a great week. Happy New Year, and I'll see you online.